Hello and welcome, everyone. I am Tanya Stevens, your host, a mind body healing guide, a spiritual mentor, and author of the Connect with the Divine You book and journals. And also, I almost always forget to say this, former occupational therapist whose focus was on mental health. And I don't know if a lot of people knew that profession, this profession could even do that. So yeah, and I'm here again because I'm devoted to supporting you to fully heal these past wounds and these past traumas so that you can not only experience more joy and more peace and more love and just more fulfilling relationships, but also to fully live your soul's purpose. So many of us that are on the planet or indefinitely here at this event are here to support others. That's one of your soul's purpose, is to support others to heal their stuff, right? Their wounds, their trauma on a deeper level, whether you get paid to do it or whether you're just doing it with your children or your family. Essentially we can support others through our own journeys, overcoming our own, healing our own stuff, right? So let's talk a little bit. First of all, how's everybody doing? Everyone who's here live, feel free to put in the chat, how are you feeling? How are you doing? There's some crazy stuff going on all over the planet right now, but I'm just thinking the past few days in the US with the government shutdown. And I just want to remind everybody, number one, that if you are here at this event, you are likely an empath, a highly sensitive person. Whether you have known that before or not, I guarantee 99.9% of you are. And that's why you are gravitating towards something like this, right? Something like this. Many of the empaths, most of the empaths on the planet, chose to go through, from a spiritual perspective, these traumas, these experiences, for lots of reasons. But one of them is to have a huge evolution, which happens when people go deeper into healing their stuff, right? It sets them free. It sets us free. So because of what's happening, and we're empathic, right? We are unconsciously usually picking up on what is happening in the collective. So with what's happening right now, all of this, the shit that's hitting the fan, right? All of the crazy stuff that's going on, right? What's happening is it is triggering our own traumas. Different for everyone what those are, but a lot of shadow masculine trauma. And so we've got that going on in this triggering. And then we've also got the sensitive empath side, where now we're picking up on everyone in the collective's fear, right? Because that's probably the number one emotion that is triggered, or that happens when we're triggered, is fear. And definitely there is a lot of feeling of unsafety right now on the planet because of what's happening all over the world. So I recommend, right, every night before you go to bed, that you either use a simple breath practice like we do here, or you can go and use my sample tool under the Access Trauma Tools and use my guided therapeutic meditation practice at bedtime as you fall asleep, with the intention to clear out anybody else's stuff that you took on that day. Whether it was your sweetie, your kids, your coworkers, or everyone on the planet, right? So that is highly recommended, and it's going to help you to sleep better. And I don't know about you, but speaking of sleep, I barely slept last night. And part of it is, yes, when I'm in the energy of doing an event like this, but I also, when I checked in today, it was like, oh, my guidance was totally telling me, yeah, it's the picking up of all the fear of the collective, especially in the United States with the government shutdown right now. So I just felt important to touch on those pieces. And again, feel free to share how you're doing, right? What's happening for you? A lot of times Symptoms and illnesses will flare too when we are unconsciously taking on other people's stuff, other people's emotions, fears, etc. That can cause our symptoms to flare. I know that, I don't know if you can tell, I've had this throat thing since it's been a week and a half now, early last week. And every time I do an event like this, right, I get a throat chakra upgrade. And so I just was like, oh, that's what's going on. And it got worse again just yesterday and today. And I do believe, it can be from taking on other people's emotions subconsciously. So I've been working on clearing those as well. All right. So the oil for today is geranium. Ooh, and I love this oil. I used to hate the way it smelled. And now I think I've healed enough of my mom wound. Not that it's just connected to that, but it is the oil of love and trust. It is the great emotional healer, geranium. So again, if you have this oil, you might want to go grab it. Or you can call in the essence of it, the energy of it to support you as well. And I keep saying I'm going to put it in the email and I keep forgetting. So I made myself a note here. So I'm reading from the Emotions and Oils book. I'm going to go ahead and put that in the chat from those that are interested. I find it really beneficial. Really beneficial. So I put that in the chat for you. And that's the link to purchase it on Amazon if you're interested. All right. So let me read a little bit about geranium. Again, it's the oil of love and trust. Geranium restores confidence in the innate goodness of others and in the world. It facilitates trust, especially when an individual has lost trust in others due to difficult life circumstances. It assists in reestablishing a strong bond to one's mother and father. And I like to say not our actual mother and father usually, but our own internal divine mother, father, divine parent that I'm always talking about, right? So the divine masculine, feminine, the divine mother, father. And so I thought this oil was perfect for today since we're going to be powwowing with Joanna around that. So assist in reestablishing a strong bond to our own mother and father, divine mother, father. Because when there's been a loss of trust in relationships, geranium encourages emotional honesty, love, and forgiveness. I like to say acceptance, not forgiveness. I don't think forgiveness is necessary, but acceptance is. It fosters receptivity to human love and connection. Geranium heals the broken heart. It encourages emotional honesty by facilitating the emergence of grief or pain that has been suppressed, which is, right, what we're doing here. Geranium softens anger and assists in healing emotional wounds. It assists in reopening the heart so that love may flow freely. Again, it could be called the emotional healer. It is a gentle oil, perfect for babies and children. It nurtures our inner child, which, again, we've been talking about all week long in most of our event conversations, especially last night in the illness and trauma connection workshop. So it nurtures our inner child and supports us in reparenting ourselves. The individual, those of us who have a difficult time accessing our emotions, can be supported by using geranium. It leads from logical mind into warmth and nurture of the heart. At its root, geranium heals the heart, instills unconditional love, and fosters trust. As Carissa and I were talking about yesterday, and if you didn't get a chance to listen or watch that, I highly recommend it. We talk about that learning to trust ourselves again, whether it's narcissistic abuse or really any trauma, almost any trauma. One of the things that happens is we break trust or lose trust in ourselves. And for various reasons. And I'll be talking more about that in my live workshop on Saturday on abandonment and betrayal. So let's go ahead and drop into our body and our breath practice. So I invite you, unless you are driving, to close your eyes. You might want to put a hand on the heart and one on the belly, fingers splayed, activating, soothing, purging, cleansing, healing our first, second, and third chakras, as well as our heart chakra. And following your breath in and out of the body, nostrils, chest, belly, back out again through the mouth. First lip breathing. And as you're breathing, thinking about first the root chakra. The root chakra is our sense of belonging in the world and also our sense of safety. We know that many of us have wounds in this chakra, given our negative family wounds and traumas. Moving up to the second chakra, right below the belly button, our sacral chakra. And this is our place of power and vulnerability, also of creativity and sexuality. So those of us, pretty much everyone, right, every trauma had to do with someone overpowering us, taking away our power. So just breathing into that, clearing that out. I'm powerless. We also have the sexual abuse traumas, a lot of it stored here in the second chakra. And as you continue to breathe, moving up above the belly button to the third chakra, the solar plexus. And this is our sense of personal power. Some people say it's the seat of the soul. So soul power, and also our sense of self-worth. So as we breathe out, cleansing that, releasing all the gunk in that chakra related to that, breathing and healing to that area of the body. Moving up into the heart chakra, our ability to both receive love from ourselves and others and to give love. And some of us have issues in both areas, right? Both the giving, the withholding, but also the receiving, either from ourselves or others. So as you breathe out, clearing out that chakra and all the gunk related to that. Breathing in compassion for ourselves and acceptance. Let's move up into the throat chakra that I was just talking about. You may even feel guided to bring one of your hands up to the throat chakra. Our way of expressing our true self. If you have issues in this chakra, right now I've got a little bit of a throat thing going on, but I also am still healing hypothyroidism or mouth issues, right? This is all the fifth chakra and really having to do with, are you fully expressing yourself? And if not, what is that wound or that trauma that needs healing so you can do that? As well as the flip side, which I call overexpression or speaking up or taking responsibility for things that aren't yours to take responsibility for. And some of us might have both, right? So just asking for a clearing out of this chakra and that gunk. Again, breathing in. Breathing in, it's safe now. It's safe to begin. We can start to trust ourselves with who we can fully express our true self with. Next breath in, breathing in, gratitude for yourself and your willingness and courage and perseverance and being here, carving out this time for you. And breathing out, Breathing out and releasing any self-criticism, self-judgment, all that inner critic, perfection, superhuman, not doing enough, not fast enough. One more time, breathing in gratitude for you, your courage, your willingness, your readiness. Gratitude for all the lessons and growth that your soul signed up for. And as you breathe out this time, hand away from the heart, palm facing out, breathing out gratitude to all of your divine team, seen and unseen. Those physically on the planet and those off planet. Hand back to the heart, breathing in compassion for yourself. We all need so much compassion right now. We have not chosen an easy time to be on the planet. Breathing out again, any self-criticism, judgment, anger at yourself, self-blame, shame, guilt, put on yourself, or by others. One more time, breathing in compassion for yourself and all of your younger rooted parts that have been showing up for this event. This time as you breathe out, hand facing away from the heart, palm facing out, breathing out compassion to everyone in this event. Even though our experiences might be different, the limiting beliefs and fears, the emotions we have been holding stuffed in our body are the same, very similar. Extending that compassion out to those in your city, your state, your country, and to the whole planet. Every person on this planet is here to grow, heal, and evolve, even if it doesn't look like it. So let's send everyone loads of compassion. And back to the heart. Breathing in the truth, activating it in every cell of your body. The truth that I, you, we are lovable, worthy, and important and special and good enough, despite what happened to us, despite the trauma, despite the wounds. Right now, there's nothing you need to do. There's nothing you need to heal to be worthy of love and support. And breathing out that old belief, the most common one on the planet, that I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, I'm broken, I don't deserve love, I don't deserve support. I'm feeling that we need to do that one more time, breathing in and activating in every cell of your body. How lovable and worthy and good enough and important and special each and every one of us is already right now and always has been. Despite the trauma that we experienced, despite picking up that limiting belief. One more time, breathing that out. Breathing out the perfection, the not good enough, the not special, broken, something's wrong with me. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Breathing in and opening the heart to all the love and support from your divine team, seen physically on the planet, like myself, and those that are unseen. God, universe, source, Buddha, Jesus, Mother Nature, whatever you call your something bigger. And breathing out and releasing that I have to do this alone. I am alone. I don't deserve support. I can't receive support. And lastly, breathing in the truth that this is a very safe container, a safe place today and every day of the event. We're all creating this safe container for each other to share if we choose. And breathing out, the people aren't safe, I'm not safe, the world's not safe. Giving yourself a hug, stepping in and being that divine parent, the divine mother and father to yourself right now, and giving yourself a physical hug and maybe some kisses. And letting your younger parts know how special and important they are, how safe you're going to keep them, that you're capable of keeping them safe now, of protecting them now, of standing up and setting and keeping boundaries for them now, for you now. And anything else you think they need to hear as their divine parent. Whenever that feels complete, nice big breath out, maybe a little bit of stretching. Noticing how you're feeling mentally, physically, and emotionally, right? We've been talking about how journaling, checking in with ourselves is part of being a divine parent. Right? How are you? How am I? How are we feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally today and throughout the day, right? If you have a young child, you're not only checking in once a day with them, I would hope not, right? Not as a divine parent. So, yeah, let's practice that right now, grabbing your notebook, grabbing your journal, and asking, how do I feel in my body? What am I feeling in my body? What emotions am I experiencing? What fears are coming up for me right now, or limiting beliefs, and writing those down? If you haven't yet, listen to the illness and trauma connection workshop I did last night. We go deeply into this, right? This how are we showing up to be that divine parent? What are those fears these younger parts are holding? What truths do they need to hear? What soothing truths, right? As their divine parent that you are soothing them with, comforting them with. So taking a moment to do that. And Joanna, if you could raise your hand. Oh, I found you. I'm going to go ahead and pin you. And so we'll get started with Joanna in a few moments. We'll just let you take a minute or two to journal. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce Joanna for those that are new to her. So first of all, welcome, Joanna. I'll unmute you in a moment after I give you your raving review, your raving bio. Joanna Shakti, the soul love mentor and founder of Ecstatic Intimacy, is a smart, sexy, and a little bit spicy. You can't miss her passion and warm, playful style that both entertains and inspires. No other person on the planet possesses the experience, expertise, and ability to transform lives in quite the way Joanna does. She artfully and professionally mixes masculine feminine dynamics, leadership training, spiritual awakening, engineering, and even Tantra, along with a whole lot of love to lead singles and couples who hunger for deeper love and more intimate pleasure, to find and create soul-to-soul relationships. Yay. Welcome, Joanna.
Thank you. It's really good to be with you, Tanya. I just celebrate what you're creating and what you're up to.
Thank you so much, my sister, and it's an honor to have you here as well. Perfect person to be talking about a lot of what's playing out. I don't think you were here when I started today, but I talked a little bit about what we're going to be diving into today, and that's the divine masculine feminine, and how right now there's a lot of contrast, a lot of shadow masculine coming up on the planet, and it's difficult, but it is, essentially for our awakening as well. And so I thought that was good to bring in today. And the oil for today is geranium, which is the great emotional healer. It helps. What did it say in here? I read it earlier. It helps us to establish a strong bond to one's mother and father, but I said to our own divine mother, father, masculine, feminine. So that's why I chose this oil for today.
I love that. I love that. And can I just jump in for a second?
Yeah, please do.
I hear, I pouted a little bit when I heard there's so much unconscious masculine energy. And while on one level I won't disagree, I think one of the things that is so painful and actually so limiting when it comes to healing is our blame and judgment of the masculine. And I suspect as we talk, we'll actually talk about the blame and the judgment that comes in for both.
For both, absolutely.
And I think it's important for us to refrain, I'll use that word, refrain from blame.
Oh, absolutely.
And 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 so just that idea of there's a lot of really conscious expressions of the masculine out there too. And we can collapse that sometimes. So I just want to bring that in. There's a part of me that feels really committed to standing for the highest good and the highest expression of both of those energies. And it's really easy to judge. It's really easy to blame.
Yeah, yeah. And just to speak a little bit to where I was coming from, right? Definitely not blame and not judgment, but just as a on a soul level, right? On a spiritual level, like all of these things are happening right now in order for us to connect with our to see where we've been out of balance and to be able to connect with our divine masculine and feminine. But
Yes.
yeah, it's both.
Yes.
It's both.
Yes.
Shadow feminine and shadow masculine are, what we grew up with.
Yes.
Most of us grew up with that. So let's just dive into that.
Yeah. I, but again, it's interesting. I like not at all wanting to be difficult. We grew up with shadow aspects, but we also grew up with light aspects.
Absolutely.
And holding all of that. And our pain and our trauma coming often from the unconscious.
Yeah. So yes, yes. And it's so funny. I just remembered I pulled a card this week and it was nostalgia. And one of the things it said was, yes, we need to honor our wounds. And we also need to remember the good, like the good that also came from it.
Yes.
And given my work, right, I think we're kind of like, I am to go into the, I'm doing the trauma work, right? And so here we are on both polarities and here coming to have this amazing conversation. But yes, I thank you
Yeah.
for saying that and reminding me. Yeah.
Well, it's so important. And I love that card because we can't say the pain didn't happen. We can't say the unconsciousness isn't there. One of the things that I see is that our focus goes so deep to that we don't, especially in today's world, we're not holding that whole picture and the goodness that is also there and the nostalgia of what was good and
I
how
think
can
we're conditioned though, wouldn't you say? I think we're conditioned as a culture to always focus on, and it's tricky because we are conditioned to focus on the negative, but yet we're also taught to Pollyanna things. So I think it can be very
oh yes.
a mind fuck, right? Like it's total like
Yes, this is not a simple conversation. And that's really the shadow side of both energies. And let me even feel, I haven't talked about it with the Pollyanna aspect of it, but that collapsing in, I was just going to see if we could play masculine and feminine with that, the collapsing in of it's all bad. And the Pollyanna, it's all good. I'd have to play with it a little bit more, but
extremes, right? It's both.
absolutely, they're the two extremes. And the I want to say it's shadow masculine, it's all bad, and it's shadow feminine, it's all good. And the reason that I say that is that the feminine is seeking connection. She's seeking experience and good experience. And so in that seeking, I can lose sight of, wait a second, I need to set a boundary. Wait a second, this is not okay.
Well, that's the people pleaser I would call, right? Like, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. That's the people pleaser. While I'm out seeking for that love and that connection and that intimacy, that the people pleaser isn't honoring the self. But that collapsed in on it's all bad is that narrow focus is a masculine energy. The feminine can see the bigger picture and hold all of it. So I love that. And these are the different places that I think, you and I, as we talked about doing this, really wanted to be able to bring in the light and the shadow of both of these expressions so that we can have a renewed and healed relationship within ourselves and between us and also beyond us.
Right? It's all of it. It's like we of course we have the divine masculine and feminine energies within ourselves,
Yes.
but then we've got playing out on the planet as well. And
Yes.
so it's interesting, right, to be able to think about it as a macro and a micro almost.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we have the divine masculine and feminine within us. We have the shadow masculine and feminine within us. The perfectionist, a constant driver, which can be a traumatic um, behavior or a behavior that shows up in response to trauma, is actually an unconscious expression of the masculine. Get it done, drive or push. Would we want a parent, a masculine parent, that is all they can see is the accomplishment and what you get done and what you do and what you achieve? And if it's not perfect, I'm going to tell you about it.
Yeah, yeah, and both, and I see like the two pieces, right? And this is a you're talking my language here, right? I talk about the three P's: perfection, people pleasing, pretending to be superhuman. All
Yes.
three very core survival patterns that come from our traumas. And yes, some are more masculine and some are more feminine. And what you just said, for sure, we've got that driver. I call that part the pretending to be superhuman, like the driver, but definitely more masculine usually.
Yep. Absolutely.
And yes, we need and none of them are bad. It just has to be in balance again because we need the doing. But you're talking about the shadow. We go into the shadow when we're
Right.
pushing.
Right. So there's doing, and then there is what I'll call the self-abusive. We've got that whip that is driving, and we can't relax, and we can't stop, and we can't nurture. And that being the unconscious parent. So I loved in the part that I did hear in your intro where you were talking about the reparenting. And I love to speak about in that the divine father energy. How does that father energy that says, no, wait, staying up, if it's a driven pattern and it plays out in our work, for example, or trying to get everything organized before I can rest, that's actually a call for the divine father energy that
Yes.
says, this is not good for you. We're going to bed
Yeah.
right now. And
Yeah.
that's a loving
It's
father.
like the protector, the care, like it's yeah, it's saying, okay, gentle but firm.
Yes, yes. And it's the loving father energy, the divine father within. Because, most of us, our parents were not in the divine all the time. They were in moments, but
I
they
don't
were,
know. Yeah. I mean, I think there's varying degrees, right? Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And of course, this wasn't taught. I mean, what we're talking about right now is still not mainstream.
Mm-mm.
And right. And I know, I'm pretty sure my parents had no clue. Like we're talking of like they would have no clue about, you know, what we're
Abs-
talking about right now.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And the
So
yes, that unconscious and the feminine side of that is either the checking out, not there, which actually I'll argue that actually is more masculine as well.
I
The
was going
avoid
to say it could
I
be,
know as soon
yeah,
as I said it,
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. It
there's
could
an
be
aspect
tricky.
of that.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, the subtleties in it. That avoidant nature is actually more of the independent, but the emotional enmeshment that can show up,
That's
that's
female.
absolutely feminine shadow. Fem-
So the codependent,
the
I would
codependent.
say if we're gonna give it a name, right?
Yep, yep,
That enmeshment, the codependent, the smothering,
yep, absolutely.
those are
All
all
that
shadow
shadow.
feminine. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Would you also say that the because I see the pretending to be superhuman can go two ways. I see it as the driver, like the
Uh-huh.
pusher to do things. But then I also see from the feminine side, it can be the overgiver.
Yes.
So there's overdoing and then there's overgiving of your
Yes,
time, your money, your energy.
absolutely. And the thing with overgiving is that it's often an absence of the self-worth that you were talking about. And so it's an absence of knowing our sovereign value. And then also, overgiving is really interesting because we have to look at it, I would say, over what's the time frame that we're looking at, because the feminine is amazing at self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
And by nature, to be a mother, we must be able to self-sacrifice. In community, when something was happening, that capacity to go and give. But what we've forgotten in our society that has, I will say, an idolization of the masculine, that we forget that restoration, the receiving, the downtime is essential. So if we get hooked in sacrificing, giving, contributing, and the balancing harmony of receiving isn't there, then that feminine quality of self-sacrifice becomes self-sabotage.
Yeah, I just heard the milk going dry. I don't know why, where
Yes.
that even came from, but it was like,
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good way to describe it.
no, and it's, and I think in a culture where, and I'm not going to say it's, just women, but what has happened, right? Women are the primary caretakers usually, and then they were the primary home, like the children and the home.
Yes. Yep.
And then all of a sudden we got into, oh gosh, when was it? When the women career movement happened.
Yeah,
What
the feminist movement
Yeah,
around the really the 60s
70s.
and 70s.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's what I was thinking,
yeah,
like early 70s. And so
yeah.
not only were they then expected to do all of what they were doing, but now let's go and get a job
Yes.
as well. And now we're back into like the overdrive of the doing masculine, right?
Ab-
like
Absolutely.
both, like both. Now we're doing everything and we're giving everything as well.
10,000%. 10,000%.
Depletion, depletion.
Super Superwoman, we can idolize the idea of Superwoman. And it's probably one of the most devastating and destructive things we can actually hold for the feminine as a goal. We can be Superwoman in a moment, and moments, even long spaces between those moments, can become something as a powerful woman. But this idea of I got it all, I don't need anybody, I can handle it, that is deeply self-destructive.
Yeah,
So I get sad when I hear people talk about trying to be Superwoman
I
because
can I can feel that.
it's not sustainable.
And I think too, like a lot of our moms, maybe not always consciously or verbally, but I think there was an encouragement, right? Like don't be like me, like go to school,
Yes,
right? Go be independent. Don't have to depend on a man.
absolutely.
We got that message. I know, to some degree I got that message of, don't depend on the masculine, given my parents' not very healthy relationship with each other. Um, but yeah, I think that's, that we were pushed, nudged, whatever you want to say, to go that direction, and now it's gone over the top.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the sellout that happened for the feminine in the feminist movement. We we didn't actually become more feminine. We became more masculine.
Isn't
And
that crazy?
that's crazy and sad and heartbreaking, and why we need so much healing right now is that we have to come back and embrace the fact that feminine energy is incredibly powerful. Feminine energy leads potently. And to begin to see that all of us, whether we're in a male gendered body at that end of the spectrum or a female gendered body at that end of the spectrum or anywhere in between, that the feminine expression is powerful, is impactful, is influential.
And that's
Then,
probably why it was repressed.
yes, yes, because we didn't believe, if I'm tracking what you just said, we didn't believe that it was powerful.
Yeah.
We didn't believe.
And I think powerful, and I think to go with the powerful part, I'm getting like the word safety.
That's what I just said it too. I wasn't sure. Yes, the safety aspect, because we believed if we struggled, if we were in an out of control environment, if we didn't know what to expect, if we were abandoned, the feeling was, I have to take charge. I have to take control. I have to be the sovereign energy over my own journey. And while there's truth to all of that, it gets so overexpressed that we get exhausted and resentful and disconnected in
I
all
mean,
of
what,
that. I know that's some of your journey.
right? Like, I mean, why do we get sick?
So often
It's
because
usually, yeah, it's usually because we've gone into the superhuman. Absolutely.
absolutely.
And
And not
people pleasing too. I mean, all of them can be draining. All of them.
all of them, absolutely. But safety is important. And we have to realize that the way I'll describe it is that we are not our safest when we are by ourselves. And yet we often believe I put up the walls and I'm going to armor and I'm going to take control, that I'm actually the safest. But we are so vulnerable when we're all by ourselves.
Well, and that's, it's interesting you use that as an example. It made me think about, growing up that neither parent was really safe. So I would go and be in my room, right? And try to just stay out of their way and be alone as much as possible. Fast forward to, today, right? I'm one of the big things I'm really working on a deeper level, the past few years, deeper levels of my mom wound, like women aren't safe. And I think I even shared that in one of our group calls. And yeah, so I'm like, it's interesting that you brought up that example because yeah, there's a part of me that says I'm safer if I'm by myself, then women won't attack me or abuse me the way my mother did. But I'm
Yes,
actually more vulnerable.
you're actually more vulnerable. Yes. And this is true with the feminine and it's true with the masculine.
And I hadn't really thought about that from that angle before. Like, so that's another reason why it's like, oh yeah, I can remind myself I'm safer if I have a group of women that of course are safe, right?
Of
And they
course.
and they
Absolutely.
exist. They
Yes.
exist. We know because we had it this morning on our group call.
We do. Yes. We share that space. And there are, and this is the thing, I think another thing, and I'm sure you speak about this, but the belief systems that we hold are defining our experience. And so often, I believe myself in my own traumatic experiences, and is that we take on the belief that this is the way life is. We had
Absolutely.
an experience, and now this is the way life is. And therefore, we can't see what isn't like that. And there's a
Because that
lot,
is the normal, because that is what
that's yes,
they're so strong, right? It's so strong. So as a
yes,
little girl, of course I would take on the belief that all women are scary, right?
exactly.
That I can't trust all women because a mother equals all women and a father equals all men unconsciously.
Unconsciously, absolutely. And on top of that, this is what relationships look like.
Mm, right. The relationship you saw between your mom and dad.
Yes.
And it's fascinating, Joanna. I don't know if you've had this experience, but my first marriage, I woke up one day and was like, holy shit, I am in the same he was controlling, just like my dad. He was It was like so crazy, down to the point of I gave him my paycheck. My mother used to give my father her paycheck.
I have goosebumps everywhere, Tanya. Yes, this, because that's the view of the world that we're holding. And as we believe, so we experience. And so in this process, it's not to dishonor at all the experience that was had, but to recognize that we took one experience and made it the absolute. And we have to shift to say, just like we started out early in our conversation, is there unconscious masculine in the world right now? Absolutely. Is there unconscious feminine in the world right now? Absolutely. Is that the absolute? No, no. And why I'm always saying, hang on, we can judge that, but we've got to, if we want to heal this, we have to bring the conscious feminine and masculine into the conversation.
And even know, if we've been brought up with mostly shadow, to number one, recognize that,
Yep.
right? To become conscious of that. And then number two, to ask, okay, as we've been talking about, what does the shadow look like?
Yes.
Right? Because if that's what we grew up in, that's normal. So we don't
Yeah.
know that even is.
Right.
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 And so then we get to this place where we're like, okay, we know about it now. And so what does the divine? What does the
Yes.
divine look like on a day, like on a real basis, day to day?
Yes. This is really important. And one of the first things before we talk about that is that I want to bring in the yin and the yang symbol. And the yin and the yang symbol, the yin, which is traditionally the black side in that symbol, is the feminine energy. The yang, which is traditionally the white side, is the masculine energy. And what's important to see within that symbol is that within that black yin side, there's a fully enclosed white circle, a fully
Mm.
enclosed circle of yang. And that in the yang circle, within the center of that, there's a fully enclosed circle of yin. And they are not fit, those center circles are not 50% of the volume. And that's sometimes what we can do is, okay, now I'm going to equalize, I'm going to balance these two energies. But for most of us, that is not authentic energy. Most of us have one that is primary and the
Yeah.
other one is secondary.
Yeah.
And so when we start to talk about the divine masculine, the divine feminine, the masculine becomes divine when it holds at right levels, authentic levels. I'll define right in a second. The authentic levels of the feminine within. The feminine cannot be her divine self if she doesn't have that yang at the center, that masculine at the center. And so it is this that we start to see our relationship with both of these energies is essential to our fullest expression. So that's the first piece when I talk about the divine masculine and feminine.
I love that image. Yeah, I love that visual is very helpful. And so even though we both have masculine and feminine, what I'm hearing you say is it's actually never going to be 50-50. Some of us, we were wired to come in as more masculine or wired to come in as more feminine, regardless of our parts, regardless of our gender.
Absolutely. Regardless of our gender, regardless of our orientation, any of that, we have that constitution. Now, there are some people that are truly balanced in those energies, that one is as attractive as the other, one is as empowered as the other. That's not the most common, but I want to name that that does exist too.
Well, and I was going to ask as well, like, I believe we probably come in wired a certain way, but then given our traumas or our wounds,
Yes,
that could be,
that is why.
yeah.
I would actually argue that is why we move into the opposite energies. So for me, all of divorce and of a whole variety of things that happened very, very, very quickly for me. So while if you'd taken any one of those things individually, you wouldn't, they would have been traumatic, but not major traumas. But the fact that there was an entire series of major things that happened in a very short period of time
Mm.
that a Western MD turned alternative said to me probably 12 years ago, he said, that would put anybody's body into a permanent state of fight or flight. And I went, well, thank God I don't believe in permanent. But yes, this has been my struggle. So while I came in very feminine, had, crazy little pink shirts and my, pink bedspreads and all this, like the girl was in here.
Strawberry
And
shortcake.
yes, Raggedy Ann, all that stuff. Yes. And and yet, because of that traumatic time at a young age, I took on control. I am never going to need someone else. I am going to be totally dependent on myself. I am going to be the master achiever. I'm going to be the perfectionist. All of those strategies, all of which were very masculine. So my young feminine who was trying to develop got this massive, armored, thick expression of the masculine because I thought that was what was going to keep me safe and make sure that I never had to go through that experience again. But all it did was take me away from myself, prevent me from connecting, prevent me from self-expression, prevent me from trusting, and live in a masculine energy that was not authentic for my body and therefore incredibly depleting. So yes, the feminine quite often takes on a masculine facade.
I
To
have a
use
feeling, I have a feeling same story, right? I have a feeling same, right?
yeah,
The experiences might have been different, the traumas might have been different, but yeah, I definitely got the message that, I couldn't depend on these people, so I have to step up and I've got to, probably acted like I was 30 when I was 5.
yes, yes, absolutely. Now, the flip side, let's just bring in the flip side of what that looks like for a more masculine being who comes in as a more masculine being. And quite often, the masculine beings will see the unconscious masculine. And I'm thinking of a gentleman who came into he was probably in his late 20s, came into a workshop that I was teaching maybe 15 years ago about feminine sexuality. And we were talking about these masculine and feminine expressions. And yet he shared towards the end, he said, I can't believe the gift that I've just gotten because I grew up with an unconscious father. My mother tended to spend time around unconscious masculine beings. And I said, I will never be one of those. And therefore, I judged, I resisted, I did anything not to be a man, not to be masculine. I modeled my mother and her friends. And his abandonment was of himself because I so didn't want to be that, that I will become this and therefore the nice guy. And the masculine version of the people pleaser shows up. And it's just another facade. And our journey to healing is to recognize that for whatever reasons, and sometimes we know more clearly than others why we might have that reversed patterning, but to say, is this in service to me? And then begin to release those layers.
And we know that it's not in service, right? Through our bodies. Our bodies never lie to us.
That is true.
It's funny too. So just in the past week, my left shoulder has been hurting. Never hurts. I don't have shoulder issues. And I'm like, where the hell is this coming from? And it was like, oh my gosh, trying to carry, right? Not asking for enough support with the event, number one,
Okay.
right? I got 2 VAs. Was I asking for more help? No, right? Like,
No,
because,
I got
because,
it.
because this event is too important. I don't want, and my perfectionist said, this is too important. I don't want them to mess it up.
Yes,
So I'm feeling it. And I'm talking about it because it got really strong when you were talking about it.
well, and interestingly enough, in our masculine and feminine retreat, we work with the embodiment of these two energies. And what's it like when we stand in these energies? What's it like when we move in these energies? What's it like when we speak in these energies? And one of the things with masculine energy is the point of engagement for masculine energy is actually in the shoulders. It's why feminine beings are actually often attracted to that broad shoulders.
Wow.
And so neck and shoulder issues in feminine beings who are overusing masculine energy can be really common.
Very good point. I love that.
So
Love
it's,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Because I just think about usually the right side and the left side of the body,
yes,
masculine, feminine, but specific body parts, right? Like the stomach is feminine. It's
yes,
the mother, it's the
yes,
nurturer.
yes,
Whereas that's cool. The shoulders, that makes total sense now, would
yes,
be
yes.
the masculine.
So bringing the energy back into the hips, which
Wow.
is the fluidity in the hips that is actually part of our embodiment. The masculine, equal weighted and solid in that stance. The feminine actually has a fluidity in her stance. It's not like she's going all over the place. We won't trust that. But she's got a
There's our
flow.
purse. There's our
She's got
purse.
her curve. She's got her sway that is there, that we have a very different impact when we're connected to that energy versus connected to this, which is not actually for a truly feminine being, the authentic space. It's impactful, but not as impactful as when we're actually moving the whole body from our
Mm,
true energy.
yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. Mm, good stuff, Joanna. I can't wait to
I,
re-listen to this.
mm, I love that. This journey to discovering who are we really in these masculine and feminine energies, and where have we used them unconsciously, strategically, to try to protect ourselves, to try to be the good person, to try to get love, to try to be well, and where has that actually caused more pain?
Right? We took them on unconsciously to survive. And they did help us to a certain extent, right? Well, here we are. Here we are.
Absolutely.
But like my left shoulder's hurting, right? It's letting me know, like, hey, because you've been doing everything, carrying the load yourself, you haven't been nurturing yourself as much and playing as much and
Yes.
getting good sleep because the brain is chewing and waking you up. So
Yes.
yeah. So as we talk about, we've gone to the shadow side and kind of talked about what that looks like.
Yeah.
So what does it look like when we're in,
Yes.
when we're in our divine masculine? You mentioned a little bit, right?
Yeah.
The
We
divine
started
masculine.
into that, and then
Yeah.
yes. So let's
Yeah.
go. I love that. Great. So let's come back to that. So the the conscious divine sacred masculine, there is a deep presence. Well, actually, you know what, before we even go there, let me take another simple um view of this. The masculine is the me in the world, the feminine is the we in the world. Now again, if we put those on an infinity loop, the ends of a spectrum, that there is an essential need for us to stand independently, to stand sovereign. So that capacity to recognize that while we are infinitely one in our spiritual realm, we are unique and sovereign in our human realm, in our embodied form. So the masculine is representing that individuality.
Mm,
The feminine is representing the union, the the oneness, the wholeness, the connection, the we.
mm,
And so we can look at this individually, we can look at this in relationship, and we can also look at it with what's happening in the world. And when the feminine is at play, it is holding highest good for the whole. Now, this could be light or shadow, so I want to name this. I
yep.
want to distinguish.
Look at you got a thumbs up.
I just silly Zoom picking up my hand gestures. So the masculine is going to hold the essential, necessary individuality and sovereignty. And it will uplift the individual.
Mm,
The feminine is holding the we. the collective, the whole, and it will uplift the whole. The problem is, as we were talking about the sabotaging aspects of the feminine, if the feminine uplifts the whole at the continued expense of the individual underneath, this is not sustainable. It is actually harmful. If the masculine over here continues to uplift the individual without awareness of the impact on the we, the collective, the relationship, it will harm the whole, the individual and the collective. So this is the dance that we have in the shadow. And so we need to bring these into where the me has the we and the we has the me. We can't have unity without sovereignty.
I get the chills. I seriously, I've got the chills over my whole body. Like this is so, the way you just explained that is so impactful.
I'm so glad to hear that, because I think this is where it gives us a frame to look at our individual expressions, what's happening in our world and what's happening in our relationships. To bring the relationship aspect in to contrast conscious and unconscious, the relationship, to have a partnership, there has to be two me's. There has to be two individuals. And only if there are two individuals can we have partnership. If we try to lose ourselves, and I use the word try because while we may not be trying to lose ourselves, our unconscious people pleasing and overdoing means we are losing ourselves. And that becomes, there's no more partnership, there's enmeshment and codependence. So the divine in that relationship within ourselves is holding the relationship between these two energies so that we can have true partnership. In our relationships, we can have partnership of the masculine and feminine within us, and we can have partnership of the masculine and feminine in our world, in our worldview, in our world approach. And so the divine masculine becomes the energy that is focused on results and things that we need and where we are standing for something.
It's the provider, yeah.
It's the provider energy.
And the protector,
And the protector energy. It's also that I'm taking a stand for something energy.
Standing up for yourself, yeah, the boundary.
Standing up for something that you feel is right or just or essential in the world. That's all masculine energy. Doing that from a place that incorporates, that is informed by the collective, is informed by the we, in a relationship is informed by our partner, now takes that accomplishing, that decisive, that directed, that goal-oriented energy and makes it conscious, makes it divine. But if we lose the view of the whole within that focus to accomplish something or even to provide something, like we can go unconscious even in the provider space because what was sacrificed while we went for that. So the divine masculine accomplishes, stands for, becomes protection, but not out of defense or superiority.
Or trying to overpower.
Or trying, right, the superiority.
Greed, overpower, yeah, superiority.
Right, exactly. The right, it's not righteous, but right.
Mm.
The divine feminine, she is unconditional love. She is pure acceptance. She is no one, I want to say no one left behind, but there's actually a little bit of masculine quality, but everyone included.
Yeah, everyone belongs. Everyone matters.
Belongs. Yes, belonging is in that realm. Everyone is cared for. Now, if that happens at the expense of the individual, or the individuals in that overgiving, then we have sabotaged the entire intention. So it is the whole, the love, the unconditional acceptance that we needed from our mothers wrap us up no matter what we did.
Yeah. Love me, accept me. No
Yes.
matter, no matter
No
what.
matter what. Yes, there's a quote from Marilyn Monroe, love me at my worst because it's when I need it the most.
Oh, I love that quote.
I love it too. And that's that divine mother, divine feminine energy. She's also creative and destructive because, as we know, a forest fire clears the space for renewed growth. So we also want to recognize that aspect
Mm.
of the creative energy of her. But if she does that without any roots, which would take us into the divine masculine, if we go into the wild space that has no grounding, we become unsafe again.
Yeah,
So
because there's nothing to grow back. After you
right,
burn it, there's nothing to grow back.
right, there's nothing to grow back. And we can, and I know that this has been part of my own recovery from trauma, is that I can overdo emotions. They're so
Mm.
unleashed. They're so, at times, they're so dramatic. I didn't have my masculine ground that could help me hold. Yes, it's important to be held, but also to be able to hold my own energy. Otherwise, I have taken those people that I love and my partner out with all my emotion and they don't even know what hit them.
That is such a divine example. Like, no, seriously, like I'm thinking, right? Like we have to, when I talk about being a divine parent, divine mother, father to yourself, we have to be able to emotionally support ourselves. And we have to be able, though, to receive it from others too. So both are
Oh, Van. Yes. Yes. But
one
that,
of us. Yeah.
yes, but realizing that we need the grounding because I could lose sight. There's no ground underneath my feet when all that was all that emotion was there. And I could want to express so much that I've blown out anyone around me. And yes, it's really powerful when someone can show up and hold all of it. We need that. But sometimes that's our coaches and therapists and mentors.
That's what I teach.
And
It's not
that,
necessarily for your partner
not
or even a friend.
necessarily, or even a friend, if that's happening all the time, it's to hold that much energy is incredibly generous. And some people can do it better than others, and it's going to depend on their own traumas and their own training.
Yeah. And, are they here to do that for others? Yes,
But
I require, me and my sweetie talk about it all the time. Like, yes, I require enough emotional support. And ultimately, if I'm triggered, he's not the person I really want to, he's like, that's not his thing.
right, right.
Like he can give me a hug and he can, those things, but I'm going to need to schedule an appointment with either my therapist or my spiritual mentor or somebody,
Yes.
right?
And where can it be a part of a spiritual and conscious relationship that we can be in our mess together? And where has it crossed that boundary? And I can't sit here and tell you that this is the exact line, but we want to be aware that there's a line, that there is a place where this is supportive and a place where it's not supportive for us and for them and for our relationship.
Yeah, what a great point. I'm really glad you brought that up, Joanna, because yeah, something I've been thinking about, or yeah, for a while and looking back at past relationships. I do want to give time if anybody has a question. I mean, we can continue talking because we have a lot to talk about, but if anybody has a question for Joanna, now is a great time for that. So, depending on your Zoom, you might be under reactions to raise your hand, or it might be just raise your hand under more and the three dots. So I just want to give everyone, or if you feel more comfortable putting it in the chat, right? That's okay too, right? And there's no stupid questions here, as I've said before, right? If you've got a question, somebody else probably does too. right? So we're going to just open up for that. And then I think this is a great time too, Joanna. Let's talk about your gift.
Totally.
And I'm going to drop the link for that in chat while you're telling us about it. And you created
Perfect.
this just for us.
I did. It was a brand new creation. Yes, inspired by this conversation.
Thank
Um,
you.
Totally. And I just want to say also that with this conversation about masculine and feminine and these different expressions that sometimes we can't actually completely articulate a question. I know that's super common. So it's also okay to say, this is what I'm working with. And we can pull the question out of that. So just for anyone that might want to approach it from that perspective of sharing something that's happening and
Oh,
how might this be supportive.
I'm so glad you said that because yeah, sometimes it's like I don't have a question, but there is something coming up and I want to
Yes.
put it out there and see, I just put the link in again so people knew that was the link was
Perfect.
for that. So it's
Yeah.
the ebook, Practical Approaches to Masculine, Feminine Polarity and Relationships.
Yeah. And so it is what it says, but an opportunity to really take some inroads and perspectives from the masculine, from the feminine. What creates conscious connection, conscious polarity, sexual intimacy from the standpoint of the awakened masculine, the awakened feminine?
Mm,
And so there are 5 articles that are embedded in that ebook and links to several other resources that will really support getting to know this embodiment of the masculine and feminine within ourselves and in
mm.
our relational dynamics.
Well, I can't wait to read it because, yeah, this is just becoming more and more. I think I started teaching about it last year, maybe the year before that, but like every year it's like more and more guidance to really, you know, really bring that in and with the perspective, at least that I teach from, that the divine mother, father, divine masculine, feminine to ourselves.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely. Absolutely. It's so important. We need those energies. We need those energies.
So I would say probably for people that are listening and maybe, we've covered a lot here, like a good place to maybe start for people might be to, just really look at again, what are those qualities of the shadow masculine and the divine masculine and the same for the feminine. And with compassion and curiosity, always, I say,
Yes.
like, really look at, okay, where am I, where am I tipping maybe too much? And it could
Yeah.
be in both, right? It could be in both. I know for me, shadow masculine, shadow feminine, both have been really big for me to work through.
Absolutely. And the overexpressed and the underexpressed, or sometimes I'll say the
Thank
overamped and
you.
underamped of each of the energies. And so, like getting started, first just get familiar with the concepts. Get familiar. And I would even drop the light and the shadow, the conscious and the unconscious, and just begin to get to know those energies and look for their expression in the world. We sit at a coffee shop or where that you might see couples and notice some of the energetic dynamics. You can begin to recognize those energies. And then starting to notice how they show up in you and where like what your true desires are versus what you've believed you had to do to survive. And that's so important because there was a time, I'm an electrical engineer with an
I
MBA.
always forget that.
Yeah, like I was in the oil and gas industries, Houston, Texas in the 90s.
Oh my
Like
God.
I had no idea there was a feminine constitution underneath this. And so that's the other part is that sometimes so many of the women that I work with believe that they are truly masculine until they start to actually find a safe consciousness to begin to explore that said, if I thought I was safe, so we create a safe consciousness so that we can approach that if I believed I was safe, then this is what I would do. So that helps us start to see the authenticity
Mm.
behind the conditioning, behind the strategies. And it is that that lets us start to begin to recognize what might be true here and then honor the parts that have taken on whatever strategies they did, reversed
Mm,
whatever energies they might have done, so that we can then, bit by bit, moment by moment, baby step by baby step, begin to surrender those energies.
mm. Yeah, and as you're talking, I just kept hearing the word receiving. And, you know, probably meant to say this for somebody that's listening, right? That one of my biggest challenges, right, with the superhuman,
Yep.
right, is that, and I think probably most that are listening to this, we're so good at giving, but receiving is not something that we have been very good at, or we do something, I call it controlled receiving.
Mhm.
Like I can receive from this person if I do this. And a lot of receiving for me has been tied to my work. Of course I can receive if it's my work,
Right.
but as many my I have been talking about, I just got married in May, and money's always been separate. And I had a lot of big expenses last month, and I I was like, "Can I borrow money from you?" And he was like, "What?" He was like, "We're married. Like, why would I? You can just have the money. Like, you don't have to buy." And I had such a hard time with that because I hadn't done something in my mind to receive it.
Yes, to validate, to justify this tit for tat equality thing, whereas you're just worthy
Yeah.
of receiving.
Yeah. So even talking about it, I can feel it in my chest. Like, it's so hard.
Yes. Well, and when we talk about the feminine, the mantra of the modern day woman, no, no, I got it. I got it. The mantra of the healthy, happy woman, thank you,
Mm,
as she receives.
yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow. Oof. I can feel that ripple. So many listening to this, right? It's like we say we want to receive,
Yes.
but then we're unconsciously, there's this unconscious, right?
Yep.
Either it's the belief it's not safe to receive, or receiving equals strings attached,
Yep.
all the things that I used to and I'm
Yes.
working through. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And this is one of the things that actually breeds resentment for a lot of women in relationships is you're not doing anything, you're not doing, why aren't you contributing? I wish that my masculine partner would contribute.
Mm,
There's no space. She's got it all. She feels vulnerable. She feels weak. She's told herself she's pathetic if she lets that contribution in. So she's mad. And I'm saying she, I just mean feminine here. She's
yeah.
mad that she's not getting support, but she's actually not available for the support that she wants to receive.
No,
That's
no.
correct. And it's
It's,
why the masculine gets so blamed unfairly.
mm,
We think it's them. Many feminine beings believe it's them. They've got their own parts. Like we could talk
of
about
course they
all the
do.
parts that we all have in this. But this is one where the blame gets incorrectly, inappropriately placed. They can't contribute.
We're
If
holding the ball tightly. They, yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely. Even orgasm, like it's another metaphor for that. We can't orgasm if we can't let go of
no,
control. And so we can't be contributed to if we can't let go of control. Now, we're not going to do that in one fell swoop.
no, no.
But
It's taken me
moving,
years,
but moving, me too, but
long
moving
time.
in that direction, moving in that direction. Where can I let go of control? Where does my way not have to be thy way?
Mm. That's funny you say that. My dad actually used to say, "My way or the highway,"
Yeah,
like literally.
I hear that. That's the overamped masculine.
Yes, I would agree with that 100%.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking back, like my mom and my dad, a lot of shadow masculine, a lot of shadow masculine. I mean, my mom some shadow feminine too, but yeah, it's just this is such important work. This is such important work. I really appreciate you taking the time to come and have this chat. I think it's, wow, it's really powerful. It's really powerful.
Thank you
Is
for
there
the
any? Absolutely, absolutely, my pleasure. And anything else you want to add as we are going to bring our circle to a close in a few minutes?
Yeah, I think the thing that I would offer is that it's really coming home to ourselves. And no matter what strategies we've taken on, no matter what patterns we've had to or felt like we had to embody to survive, to get through what we had to get through, there is a unique, beautiful, brilliant soul that is safe, powerful, exquisite, ecstatic, has massive contribution to make underneath all of that. And the journey to that authenticity, or that journey to that ecstasy, that journey to the fullest experience of life is through our own authenticity. And that when we can rebuild the relationship with ourselves, we can then have a strong relationship with another.
100%. Beautifully said, Joanna. Yeah, I mean, that's such an old belief. You complete me. Well, who was that?
I
Tom Cruise?
Yes,
Fucking Tom
yes,
Cruise.
yes, yes.
And
No,
every
well, it
woman
was
at that time were like,
yes.
oh, no.
She said it, and I can't remember what her name was, but it was to Tom Cruise, and it's not. We complement one each other. We complement each other, one another, but we don't complete each other. If we are dependent on that, we are actually required to self-abandon,
Yeah.
and that
Which,
is the strength of the relationship with ourselves.
right? So here's been another form of abandonment I can add to my talk on Saturday. We're going to be talking about abandonment and betrayal. And I think, definitely we've we've abandoned in big part our feminine completely, but then also the divine masculine and feminine has been very much abandoned.
Yes, but I'll even say that many feminine beings abandon their masculine energy, and that masculine
That
is
too.
crazy. Like overamped and underamped is that I'm overusing that masculine energy. No, no, I got it. I can handle it. I'm going to get it all done. I'm going to be superwoman. But at the same time, the absence, the underuse of the masculine is the fact that there's a lack of boundaries. That we say yes when the
In a
truth,
solid sense of self, in a
the
solid
solid
sense.
sense of self and the solid sense of what is true and what is not true. Where is my yes and my no? And
Wow.
that's
Yes. And as you just said that, I just got this boom, this picture of when I was, I think I talked about it in the other day as well, when I was date raped when I was 15, and it wasn't conscious, but I immediately went to dressing very differently, like totally hiding big clothes, hiding my body. Um, I was wearing dresses and then I totally stopped doing that. And it was like
yeah,
pants. So it
yeah.
was like totally like unconsciously, I better become more masculine,
Mhm.
right? I better become more masculine. But it was more of the shadow, right? It was
Yes,
more,
you
it was more of the shadow.
not trusting and this and absolutely when that choice got taken away, but then we tend to believe that we can't say no. We
Mm-hmm.
couldn't then. So now we're projecting this idea that I'm going to cover up because I don't have a choice. And what we have to recover is our choice. We have to recover our agency. And it doesn't mean that we can control everything. We can't. We can't. And that's the inherent vulnerability of being human. And how can we be okay knowing that ultimately we cannot control every experience in our lives?
Just our own thoughts, words, and actions.
Yes. And sometimes not even all of those.
Right? Sometimes it doesn't feel like we can control our
Yeah.
emotions and our thoughts.
I have certainly said, I don't need that food. I don't want that food. and had that food.
Absolutely.
Because I really couldn't get control in that moment. So all of that to say tender, 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 baby steps in all of this.
Yeah, don't use, and again, we are, for everybody listening, we are so good at taking things and then beating ourselves up with it, right? With these new awarenesses you might be receiving through this event. And we want to remember we don't beat ourselves up for anything.
Nothing. We
awareness.
Did the best
yeah.
We could.
Oh, yeah. With what we knew.
With what
right?
we knew, with where we were, always did the best. And that compassion, that tenderness, that forgiveness. Because then, as one of my early mentors said, here today, in that compassion, we can begin to choose again. We can begin to make a new choice.
We can start again every moment.
Every moment, yes.
Joanna, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and close with a little breath practice if you'd like to join us. And again, I want to remind everybody to grab Joanna's ebook, Practical Approaches to Masculine Feminine Polarity in Relationships. So if it's anything like this conversation, it's going to be amazing. So
thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you. So I'm going to invite everybody to close their eyes, unless you're driving. And follow the breath in and out of your body, nostrils, chest, belly. You may want to put a hand on the heart, again, one on the belly. Or you may want to put a hand somewhere else on your body, as we did last night in last night's workshop. If you have a symptom or an illness that you're wanting to heal, and there's an area that, especially what we were talking today, is activated, right? Has gotten your attention, has increased. Just know that that could be really normal. And also showing us where we might be holding some of these, we'll call them today, masculine, feminine wounds. Right? So just honoring that, acknowledging that. You want to put your hand there, so wherever that feels comfortable for you. And again, following the breath, nostrils, chest, belly, back out again through the mouth, pursed lip breathing. Helping us to be fully in our bodies. Even during this conversation, some of us might have disassociated a little bit, and that's normal. Some of the things we talked about might be triggering. That's normal. So we just want to breathe and be with anything we're feeling right now. Just noticing any feelings in the body, any emotions that are present. You might even silently name them. Again, putting your hands on your body wherever you're feeling something. This is all part of being that divine parent, divine mother and father, showing up for yourself. Tuning in to any fears or limiting beliefs that were triggered during our conversation today. And just accepting that, accepting those, acknowledging those. Right? All of this conditioning around the masculine, the feminine, all of these limiting belief systems and fears we picked up due to our traumas, due to our wounds. Just awareness is the first step. Awareness of what you feel, your emotions, your thoughts, your fears, your beliefs. So we're just practicing breathing and being with them all, accepting them all, validating them all. And again, bringing in that essence of geranium, the oil of love and trust. And if you have that oil, you might again smell that, or you just call in the essence, invite in the energy of that oil. As you're breathing in, inviting it to support that emotional healing. And in this case, around the masculine, feminine, around those 3P patterns that we talked about, the thinking you have to do it perfect, the believing that you have to give up yourself and please others, the pattern of the superhuman, which is the part of you that wants to do, push, 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 strive, strive, strive. Or it can show up as overgiving emotionally, physically, your time, money, energy. It can show up as the superhuman as wanting to or feeling responsible for everyone's problems, fixing everyone, taking care of everyone, and putting yourself last. And as you breathe out, we're just going to breathe out on a deeper level all of these limiting beliefs and fears related to these three P's we were talking about, the shadow masculine, the shadow feminine. Breathing in that truth that it is safe now to fully be in our divine masculine feminine, in our own unique balance of that. Not like anybody else's on the planet. Again, breathing out that it's not safe to fully be in your divine masculine feminine. It might mean I'm weak, or I'm going to be hurt, or I'm not going to survive if I don't do what I've been doing. Letting that all go on a deeper level. Next, breathing in compassion. A lot of times when we have these deeper awarenesses, there can be an action of wanting to be mad at yourself or blame yourself. There can also be deep sadness. So breathing in compassion and breathing out on a deeper layer, a deeper level, any self-anger, self-blame, that deep sadness of abandoning ourselves and not being in the divine masculine feminine. One more time, breathing in compassion for yourself and all of your younger wounded parts that we've been working with. And this time as you breathe out, palm facing out and breathing out compassion to everyone that is live with us today, everyone listening to the replay, everyone that signed up for this that is not currently participating. Let's send compassion to them. They're probably caught up in one of these patterns, not taking the time. Breathing that compassion out to everyone in your city, your state, your country, and ultimately the whole planet. And bringing your hands together. And let's just breathe and set the attention with our hands together right now that this is the integration, the embodiment, a prayer for embodying, integrating our divine masculine and feminine, personally and collectively. Nice big breath out, giving yourself a hug, stepping into those divine parent, divine mother, father shoes, and giving all of your younger parts a nice big hug, maybe some kisses. And reminding them of anything they need to hear from you today as their divine parent. Perhaps that they're safe with you, that you're capable of standing up for yourself and setting and keeping boundaries, that you're going to give them that love and acceptance that they've been seeking from other people. You're going to give that to them now. Letting them know they're special, that their feelings and their emotions and their fears matter. And that they can come to you anytime for support and love and healing and safety. When that feels complete, maybe doing a little bit of stretching, opening and closing your eyes, wiggling fingers and toes. Right? Oftentimes when we do some movement, we can do it with the intention to release more of this gunk, right? Release more of those emotions and more of those limiting beliefs and fears and just, all of the gunk, all of the gunk. And I just want to thank everyone, whether you are here live or listening to the replay. Thank you so much for your willingness and courage to do this deeper healing work that we're all here to do, right? Whether people are aware of it or not, right? This is what we're here to do, not only for ourselves, but ultimately then for the collective, right? There's the divine feminine for ourselves, the masculine, but also for the collective, right? Because as each of us heals and we raise our vibration and we are experiencing more joy and more love and more peace, that impacts everyone around you, that impacts the planet. I'm sending you lots of blessings, encouraged to continue to do this deeper healing work, and a big, big thank you. Namaste. Bye, everyone. Have a nurturing day.